Hello and welcome to the Writer Review. This is Eric here at Writer, and today I'm going to be focusing on the 1995 movie titled The Perez Family. The Perez Family is a comedy that was directed by Mira Nair, and it was written by Robin Sweecord, and it was based on a 1991 novel written by Catherine Bell, which was also titled The Perez Family. The main stars in the movie are Marisa Tomei, Anjelica Huston, Alfred Molina, Trini Alvarado, and Chazz Palminteri. And it was loosely based on the Mariel boat lift. And for all those who don't know what the Mariel boat lift was, I'll give just a brief description about it to you guys so you'll have a better understanding. Between April 15th to October 31st, 1980, Cubans migrated to Florida due to a downturn in the Cuban economy, and was approved by the Cuban government led by Cuban President Fidel Castro. It was stopped due to the exiles that were released from Cuba, from Cuban jails and mental health institutions. So by October, President Jimmy Carter and President Castro agreed to stop the Mariel boat lift, and as a result, over 125,000 Cubans settled in the Florida Keys. Here's the plot of the story. Set in the year 1980, Juan Raul Perez, played by Alfred Molina, was granted his release from prison in Cuba, and with fellow Cubans, he eventually migrated in the Florida Keys. While in Florida, Juan meets a young lady named Dottie Perez, no relation, played by actress Marisa Tomei, who works part-time at a sugarcane and part-time as a prostitute. Dottie decides that if she and Juan would pretend they're married, an American sponsor could respond quicker than if they were single. Now this doesn't sit well for Juan because of the fact that he's already married to a woman named Carmela, who's living in the United States. She was played by Anjelica Huston, and they have a daughter named Teresa, played by actress Trini Alvarado, and they both live in the States. Juan does not seem to want to bite into the scheme right away, but Dottie goes on with the plan, and going so far as to hire a father-in-law and a son during this whole process, doing anything they can to escape the Florida Keys, which to Juan and Dottie is nothing more than just a virtual prison. My personal point of this movie, well, this film had all the makings of a light-hearted, sometimes quirky romantic comedy. But sadly, the movie decided to take the story in another direction. Even director Nair had difficulties trying to work out all the kinks, which deserved some much-needed tweaking. The main weakness falls in the acting, in which the characters lack in emotions, though it tries but somehow fails. This could partially be due to the casting decisions, which to me seem to be very sadly scattered and much too rushed. I kind of felt like the casting director just selected actors and actresses who were free at the time and just loosely casted them in whatever role that was there for them, without any check of their background or their capabilities. Alfred Molina, who has turned in such an excellent performance in the 2000 movie Chocolat, seemed to be just lost in the romantic lead. I guess the only reason why they casted him was, I guess, since Hugh Grant doesn't look or sound Cuban, we may as well just put Molina in. And if you think that Molina was badly miscast, Anjelica Huston seems to be more badly miscast as Carmela, because she looks too laid back for an angry wife who thinks that Juan is cheating on her with this scheming prostitute. She seems too laid back for this angry role, and her chemistry with the federal officer, Lieutenant Pirelli, played by Chazz Palminteri, lacks any kind of chemistry as well. The main scene stealer in the movie is, of course, Marisa Tomei as the spunky, somewhat flirty Dottie Perez. But she also falls into the trap of being a little over the top in her performance. I mean, in many ways, her personality seems too spunky, too spontaneous to be. I mean, she's put in a serious situation, but it feels like she's not taking this whole situation serious. She's just taking this whole situation as an opportunity just to get out of Florida. Her accent is worse than Al Pacino's Cuban accent in Scarface, and her delivery seems to be somewhat out of whack. There were times when the script tends to go off, including Carmela's overbearing brother, which seems to take too long, and it becomes very tiresome. And by the time we get to the conclusion, we just feel completely drained out, to the point where we just don't really care for the characters. And because this is an ethnically inclined movie, we also have, like most movies that deal with ethnicity, stereotypes and cliches tend to manifest in the script and the characters, that it comes to the point where the characters are just wooden, cliched, and enough to gnash your teeth in utter disappointment. Now, I know I've been ranting a lot about this movie, but the honest truth is that it's not entirely terrible. I mean, the conflict of culture between Americans and Cubans takes its toll, and the jabs at how disorganized immigration policies take place. And the use of comedy and drama are surprisingly used at the right time, even though the movie was a bit of a mess. But it was funny when it wanted to be, and it was serious when it wanted to be. And in the end, it actually did work out. So overall, it was a worthy picture, but it just had quite a lot of flaws that could have been easily taken care of, and it could have probably been a more extraordinary movie. I know it was an independent movie. Very few people have heard about this movie. I know it didn't win any Oscars or anything like that, but then again, I don't think it deserved to win any kind of Oscars or Golden Globes or any awards in particular, even though it had a lot of great talented performers who have been in much better films. Marisa Tomei has been in better films. I mean, she was awesome in My Cousin Vinny. Anjelica Huston, she has been in many films over the years and has been in much better roles than this one. Alfred Molina, he was awesome in Chocolat. Chazz Palminteri, I know he's been in a lot of gangster movies, but even though that's kind of cliched on his part, but he has actually played those kind of roles effectively. And you know, it could have been handled a lot better, this movie, if they would have looked for, maybe more Latino actors or actresses in this movie. I mean, when you look at the list of the actors and actresses, Marisa Tomei, she is not Latino. Anjelica Huston is not Latino. They're supposed to be playing Latino characters, but they just didn't fit the bill. On the plus side, it took a look at the Mario boat lift, and as far as I know, in the history of movies, there's only two movies that seem to emphasize a bit on the Mario boat lift: the Perez Family and the 1983 Brian De Palma vehicle Scarface. So it was actually good that they took a relatively original original event that's not been fully taken into as a movie. It's a rare event in history that's hardly ever talked about, and to put that into a movie is kind of original. I mean, Scarface focuses on the Mario boat lift, but not as much as this movie. This movie has a much more general overview of the Mario boat lift. So if you have a chance to see the Perez Family, go ahead, by all means. I'm not stopping anyone. It's flawed, but not terribly flawed. And the flaws could have been easily taken care of had it been with more care and precaution from the casting director and the director herself. So I guess that kind of ends our review for today. I hope you enjoyed my review, and of course, as always, feel free to write to me. Be courteous, be polite, and I hope that I get to read your reviews. So until then, this is Eric Ryder saying so long, and you all take care of yourselves now, okay? Goodbye.